I thought this day would never come. It's finally time for me to get my own e-bike, thanks to the sponsor of this channel, my partner for a very, very long time, Ibis Bicycles. This is the Ibis Oso. Of course, Oso means bear in Spanish, and this is one bear of a bike. We've got 170 millimeters of travel up front, 155 in the rear with the DW Link all kitted out with Fox Performance suspension. Very interesting wheel setup. On the small and medium frames, you've got a 29er up front and a 27.5 in the rear. And then on the large and extra large frames, you've got 29-inch wheels front and back. This is a medium frame, so it has the mixed wheel setup. I'm 5 foot 10 inches tall, so I'm kind of always caught between a medium frame and a large frame. I rode large frames for years, and more recently, I've switched to medium. And I feel great on the medium frames. I think it's fantastic, but you have to figure it out for yourself. I have gotten so many emails from people over the years asking, what do you think about this bike and this setup? You just have to go find a rental, you gotta find a demo, you gotta find somebody on Instagram who has the same bike that you want and the size that you want, and go ride that bike. If you see me on the trail, I'll let you take this for a spin for a quick little minute and see if it feels good to you. I hope I don't regret that. We've got SRAM GX Eagle on the drivetrain and Shimano 4-piston XT brakes. For the brakes, I love it. It's the best of both worlds. I really prefer the Shimano brakes, and I really, really like the SRAM Eagle shifting. And speaking of the brakes, these things have the biggest brake rotors I've ever seen. I did not know that brake rotors came in 220 millimeters, all for that stopping power of the Big Bear bike. The wheels are Ibis's house brand Blackbird Send aluminum wheels. I've been running these wheels on my Ibis Ritmo for months and months. You cannot beat the value, and the performance has been fantastic. Everything on this bike is built a little more beefy. Got the Maxxis tires, which is always standard, but it's an Assegai in the front, Dissector in the rear, and they're both the double down casing. This is like the DH heavy duty casing of the tires, which is always a little harder to put on and take off, but it helps for getting through the rough chunder and not blowing up your tires. I'm always gonna end up missing some kind of detail when I go over a bike in a video like this, but the Ibis website is always fantastic. Look up the Oso, get every little detail, every little part and piece is listed out, every angle of every dangle. I assure you, Ibis does an awesome job on their website having a comprehensive list. And even easier to track, there's only one build kit for this bike. There's two colors. This is Storm Blue, and there's also Forest Service Green. And shout out to Ibis for the new brand redesign, the new logo. I cannot wait to get some Ibis hats and t-shirts and sweatshirts and all the merch. The Ibis Oso goes on sale right here, right now. Call up your local Ibis dealer, $10,999 manufacturer suggested retail price. I put this big bad bear up on the scale, and without pedals, it hit 52 pounds, 11 ounces. The tagline for the Oso is downhill both ways. So let's talk about what we're all here for, the power. This bike uses the new Bosch Performance Line CX with the Smart System and has the biggest power tube, aka battery, that Bosch offers at 750 watt hours. The battery on the small frame is a little bit smaller, but hey, you're a little bit smaller, so it all comes out in the wash. This is a Class 1 e-bike, which means it only gives you assistance when you're pedaling, and it only gives you assistance up to 20 miles per hour. You can still pedal your heart out and go faster than 20 miles an hour, but the motor shuts off. And just for reference, a Class 2 e-bike is an e-bike with a throttle and not the pedal assist, but it still only goes up to 20 miles an hour. And then a Class 3 e-bike is a pedal assist that goes up to 28 miles an hour. And as far as I know, there aren't any real reputable mountain bike companies making Class 3 e-bikes for off-road, full suspension, that kind of thing. There are some other brands out there that are making Class 3, but really the reputable brands are making Class 3 28 mile an hour e-bikes for commuting. And this is where things start to get emotional. With a Class 1 e-bike, I don't think that is out of the realm of human possibility for someone to be climbing uphill with an extra boost of power. The extra 200-watt boost that this mountain bike gives me is pretty much what I would get if I actually had spent the past 6 years training and dedicating my life to getting faster instead of making fun YouTube videos. On a personal note, the more I read about Class 1 e-bikes, the more studies that come out, the more evidence that they're pretty much the same as normal bikes. I really think they should be allowed anywhere normal mountain bikes can go. It's tough for a lot of people to get beyond this being a moped or a motorcycle. I don't think it is. I believe it is a motor vehicle, but it's its own thing. It's a Class 1 e-bike. It's kind of in its own category. Before we can get out for a ride, of course, you got to download an app. It's called the Flow app. This is the Bosch Smart System. It's a very new system compared to their old one. There's a different app for this one than the old one. Yada, yada, yada. It's good to have the app so you can update the firmware, all that, make sure everything's kind of dialed in and up to date. I'm very interested to see how the app tracks my mileage, my miles per gallon, as you would say. You would not say that, but you know what I mean, right? How far you're getting on every ride, whether it's a hilly ride or a flat ride. It's gonna be very interesting to see how long this battery is gonna last. And of course, I'm going to make some videos where I try to drain the battery and hopefully I won't get stranded. One of the cool features with the app is that you can lock the bike. And by lock, I guess it means the motor doesn't turn on, but it works with your smartphone and it makes a little cool chirp every time you turn it on or turn it off to signify that the bike is locked or unlocked. Oh yeah, and one of the other cool things about having an e-bike and having power means you can have a really awesome headlight and tail light built right into the bike. Well, I guess the lights aren't really built into the bike. They are removable and such, but there are portholes in the bike frame so you can have the cable routing nice and clean. The low beam of the headlamp is 600 lumens and the high beam is 900. And I love this cool little tail light. It puts out about 45 lumens. Before I get out for my first ride, I'm gonna make a little switch here and swap out the stock grips for the Trail One components. Hell's Gate Grips, my company that I co-founded, making high-end components that give back to the trails. And of course, I'll eventually swap out to the Crockett carbon bar and the Rockville stem here. There's just a lot going on with these wires and everything, so that's gonna kind of be a whole weekend project to swap out the cockpit on this. Okay, it's time to put the rubber to the road. I'm gonna put some lube on the chain, but look, when you pedal backwards, the chain doesn't move. That's usually how I put the lube on. Wow, this is much more awkward than I thought it was gonna be. It's like trying to write with your opposite hand. Okay, it's time to put the rubber to the road. I used about 6% battery going almost 2 miles to get to this point, heading up a really, really big, intimidating hill to get to the trail. What I need to read up on more is if this power meter is showing my power or the total power of the bike. I think it's my power. Whew. I am breathing. 15 miles an hour up this is pretty silly. I've committed a big error not starting my Strava though. Got to try to have a baseline of different stats and different conditions. Whew. Actually having to go into an easier gear. Okay, that was the first test. Easier, but not easy to climb that hill. Whew. And I have it in the purple mode, EMTB mode. I'm gonna raise my saddle up a little bit. Hey. Oh, sweet. I guess I didn't have to start my Strava. The Flow app is already recording my ride and it already has my ascent. So the climbing portion is really what I'm really interested in seeing. You can also mount your phone to your bike to have this as a screen if you're interested in that kind of thing. Okay, now we're gonna hit the trail and this is gonna be a whole different kettle of fish. Wow. Power makes all the difference. I've only been on an e-bike a handful of times. I had an amazing time in Grand Junction riding the Butterknife Trail, which is a moto trail, but fantastic for e-bikes. All these crazy up and down challenges that I just can't even imagine a motorcycle being able to pull off. But it was perfect on an e-bike. It's gonna take a little extra effort to find e-bike legal rides I can post on this channel, but I already have like 5 or 6 off the top of my head that I've been dying to do on a normal bike. That's gonna be a lot nicer on the e-bike. Can definitely feel the difference with the brakes trying to stop this locomotion. Okay, here's the first downhill test. Oh, gotta get used to it. Oh, nice. Okay. That was a good test. So as I'm riding today, this bike is still top secret. So I'm hoping I don't run into any BKXC fans on the trail. They want to take a picture. I'm gonna have to pay them somehow to keep them silent. I've never had a pre-release bike before. I don't want to mess this up. They'll never trust me again. These are some of the toughest little turns out here. Oh, even with the e-bike, even with the power. I tweaked my knee right before I got on the bike, so I don't feel like I can really smash this as hard as I would like to really be downhill both ways. But I'm still getting out of breath. That's what counts. Downhill's so nice, you gotta do it twice. It's gonna be so interesting switching back to the Ripmo and how different it's gonna feel. Very capable. This is chewing it up. Ooh, that's always a tough spot right there. Slippy, especially with 30 PSI in the tires. Yeah. I might go a little lower once I figure everything out. Not many jumps out here to test out how this thing flies. Not that I'm the best aeronautical pilot for that job, but gotta give it a little go. Hey, that was fun. Let's do it again. It's gonna be really interesting as things evolve over the years. People with disabilities, various ailments, they are guaranteed equal access under the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I can see a really good argument for e-bike access anywhere mountain bikes are able to access, as long as you have something that is keeping you from being healthy and have access like everyone else. I actually know a guy who had a terrible accident with his foot, and he ended up writing the Bureau of Land Management and getting a pass to be able to ride his e-bike. So on a case-by-case basis, there is a precedent. Yeah, that's my buddy Rod. He said the e-bike saved his life. He would have just been bound to the couch. He wasn't really able to ride his regular bike and put pressure on his foot. I think the bike saved a lot of our lives, and it still can. It's never too late to save your life. The bikes have left us broke, but at least we're in shape and happy. Can't put a price on your health. Well, I guess you can, but whew, that's like millions of dollars via Kaiser when you're 83 years old. Oh yeah. No snakes today. Yet. Oh, come on. Oh. Oh, that was nice. I took the battery out and weighed it. It was 10 pounds. My Ripmo is about 32 pounds. So if this bike's 52 pounds, you got to think that that 10 pounds is the battery and then 10 pounds is the motor. And that's where the extra 20 comes from. Let's see some stats here. We're 67%. We have 15 miles of range. We've gone 7 miles, 35 minutes. I'd love to be able to see the elevation on this thing. Maybe it's deeper in the settings. Don't care that much about cadence. Power is kind of cool. I would love to see ascent. Looks like we've done 1,400 feet so far. Oh, you still have to be in an easy gear to start out. The motor doesn't like that. Did I mention the screen is actually optional? I kind of like it, but we'll see if I want a cleaner cockpit with all these wires and stuff. But yeah, you can run everything just off of the little clicker here and your smartphone. Oh, I'm over 20 miles an hour and it's impossible. Oh, trying to ride this thing home with no battery and no power would be silly. I'm gonna have to call AAA, get a tow truck. I think it'll be pretty easy to get used to the downhill mechanics, but I think the hardest thing is just when you're off the bike and you're setting it down, you're pushing it around, it's just so heavy, it's hard to lift up on stuff. It takes a little adjustment. Oh yeah. I was reading up on my e-bike literature, and in California state parks, e-bikes are allowed anywhere normal mountain bikes are allowed, unless there's a sign posted. Oh, fellow e-biker down there. A couple of them. Hey, hey! They can't see the bike. Whew. Got the heart pumping now. Oh, I feel the bay breeze coming over right here. Perfect day. It's all out there. You can get an e-bike, you get a regular bike, get a bike at the junk store, whatever it takes, get out there. It's worth it. Feels very similar to the Ripmo on the downhill. You can just feel that extra weight of the bike. And I'm sure at first, maybe my triceps and chest are gonna be a little more sore because it's a little bit more to move around, but I'll get used to it. Uh-oh, it looks like high tide. Can this thing get wet? Okay, so far so good. Not covered in water. Watch out for the broken glass. Hello. Oh, there's the first smash on the bottom bracket. It was a big rock. Oh yeah, I gotta do walk mode. Hold down the bottom button. Yeah, okay. Hold down the button to get it to spin. There we go. And then you leave it and walk mode just automatically times out. You don't have to hit another button. Oh, this little area is funny. Ooh. Oh, over the bars, almost. Oh, dang it, this is a little too feisty here. There goes another smash on the motor casing. Yeah, easy. Okay, here's the real test. Howdy. Dare I try a wheelie? Oh, wow. That's something else. It feels pretty good, actually. Let's see how many watts it takes to get to the top of this thing. I'm usually 8 out of 10 climbing that little thing right there. It's just right about here is where it all blows up in my face. Oh, let's see what turbo mode is like. Oh, eco mode. Oh my goodness. Off. We don't like off. How do I get back on? No. There we go. Oh. Yeah. Holy moly. Yeah. Ooh. Hi, yeah. Okay. Another terrible climb. Hi. I'm not ready. Oh, God. Woo. Hi, hi. Oh boy. Thank you, Turbo. Doesn't feel like cheating. Oh wow. This is nicely cleared out now. Uh-oh. Oh, cool. Hawk right here. Kestrel, maybe. Electronic doping. You know, in 10 years, I think we're gonna probably not need e-bikes anymore. Technology and medicine will be so advanced that we will all be superhuman athletes, and we'll probably have some sign at the beginning of the trail that says, no no steroids or whatever, even though everybody's gonna be on steroids. We'll still have bikes though. We'll always have bikes. whether it's the real world or the metaverse. So now that I'm going to be riding the road all the way back home, I'm going to turn on my headlight and tail light to make sure the fine citizens of Vallejo can see me coming. Oh yeah, we got a bike lane. Okay, bike lane's over. That's the craziest thing. What do you bet there's some kind of government funding where they needed another 20 feet of bike lane to get some grant or approval for something? Seems preposterous, but at least it's a start. It's something, I guess. I don't know. Wow, that was pretty dang cool. Let's check the stats. 15.4 miles, 1 hour, 13 minutes. And I feel like I did a real workout. Oh yeah, that was good. I am looking forward to many, many more adventures, putting many more miles on this bike, draining the battery many times over, sweating it out many, many times. I like that the power meter is actually in the shot, so you could see sometimes I hit 500 watts, 400 watts climbing up those hills. That was, there was assistance there, but that was no joke. So stick around for a few more e-bike adventures. I'll have my normal adventures as well. I'm gonna mix it all in. But until then, thanks for watching, you guys. I'll see you on the trail.